doesn't have enough, trying to hold on, trying to break through this argument, but there's just so much damage output. Continue to hold on at this point. This war almost unbearable. They've got to get out of there. They cannot die at this point. Ok, on y va. Il est encore première ligne. Ok, de faire des couples.
Oh là là, les élates qui arrivent. Non, il est en train de le massacrer. La porte du Terran qui est en train de chuter. Drogo, Drogo.
What a build, what a strategy. And he's going deep.
He is in back. Oh my God, going after these Warlords. The drones are pulled. He's killing absolutely everything.
Il a volé cette game définitivement. Allez, Violette qui va, Violette qui pousse, mais c'est
Oh my God, what a game are we watching right now, Apollo? Because this isn't like any StarCraft II I've seen before.
It is time for the grand finals of the StarCraft II tournament here at the WCS Circuit Spring Championship. We are live once again from DreamHack Open Tour in France to bring you the very best of the WCS StarCraft tournament. Very excited to get this underway. We saw Nerchio absolutely demolish Pult, who is already qualified for the global playoffs 3-0, and he finds himself as the first finalist. We will be joined by ShoWTimE, who also demolished his opponent in the semi-finals of Massa in another 3-0. Now, which one of these players will take the trophy on stage and qualify for the global playoffs and be the next StarCraft champion? Well, that's what we're here to find out. Welcome to the finals. Thank you to our sponsors, Zowie, Razer, G2A, Monster Energy, and of course, Alienware. It's hype time. Get on your phones and hashtag WCS and DH Open. Joining me on the panel for the finals is In Control, Artosis, and Tasteless, Tastosis. Welcome to the finals.
Wow. This has been an awesome road to get here. Such a fantastic tournament, really. I did not think there would be this many high-level, interesting games going down, but wow, it really has been.
You came into this thinking it was going to be a lot less? You had lower expectations?
No, well,
is it because
look at you. Look at him try to just get me in there. No.
I mean, I thought it was going to be pretty bad,
the games were way better than I think anyone was really expecting. You think this wasn't way better than I Am Katowice?
This is on schedule. I had crunched the numbers beforehand. I was like, this is exactly what I was expecting.
Entertaining StarCraft Artosis.
Get me the Nathanius box. I need to be taller than In Control here. This is ridiculous.
Tasteless, you had a lot of fun in France. Some fantastic StarCraft. I saw your passion being relit.
Yeah, man. I think from start to finish, this was an absolutely fantastic tournament. I think the finals is going to be just incredible, man. No Korean here.
No,
we're going to see these two foreigners
Europe
actually duke it out.
Europe.
Or maybe the Koreans are the foreigners now.
Tasteless
That's
just
right.
went there.
Wow.
Let's have a look at the bracket to show you guys exactly where we've been over the last couple of days. 32 players entered a single elimination bracket and only 2 players remained. It is Poland versus Germany, Nerchio versus ShoWTimE. In Control, thoughts?
Yeah, a couple of guys were actually walking around back here talking about how they're happy it's a European versus European. There's been a little bit of a shakeup. The NA guys are starting to knock some of those Europeans out. The Koreans, of course, have always been dominating, but it's nice to see a Polish person versus a German, a Zerg versus a Protoss. It's kind of a fun final in that way. Nerchio catching fire in this tournament. ShoWTimE simmering, but then exploding in those semifinals. It was actually quite bad how bad he beat Mouse. It did make for great entertainment, unless you're a huge ShoWTimE fan, I guess.
I mean, I've heard lots from backstage here. I've heard so many people say Nerchio is going to stomp this. I've heard a couple of pro gamers say, what are you guys on about? ShoWTimE is going to win this. Where are your alliances here?
It's interesting because I think amongst all the casters, we were all saying Nerchio. And every time we talk to the pro gamers, they're saying the opposite. So I'm not sure what's going on here. I mean, when I've been casting Nerchio's games, I am more than impressed. He looks godlike.
ShoWTimE demolished Violet 3-0. A Korean competitor in this tournament, a Zerg player, of course, and he looked brilliant in that series. If he brings that level, then...
I mean, it's just utterances. We're just kind of piecing this together. But Scarlett yesterday, too, said that Neeb is the best PvZ she has ever played against. And it wasn't a demolishing, but it was a very... I feel like the games Neeb won was to come back and beat Nerchio. And then even that last game, it was like... It was interesting, but it was interesting in that Neeb was fighting for his life against Nerchio. Nerchio seems to be playing in close to his final form. He's in good form.
Well, gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about, but it is almost time for me to say this. And now, ... There is no point in waiting any longer.
Oh my God.
Realizing he's in trouble. Some great fumbles going down. The Ultra's closing oh so quickly. Roach and Hydra all over the place.
Big play coming out from 4GG. He runs straight past that tree, goes straight for the Roaches here. What a move, what a build, what a strategy.
After 3 days, we've gone from 32 players down to just 2 here at the WCS Spring Championship, and now it is time for the Grand Finals. One of these players is looking to become a champion for the first time in over 3.5 years, while the other is looking to take home a StarCraft II title for his very first time. Tor, please give a warm welcome to ShoWTimE and Nerchio! ShoWTimE, you just got revenge on Pult. It was a quick 3-0, and now ShoWTimE is looking to do the same against you for his loss against you at Katowice. It's been 42 months since you were champion. I know you must be itching to become champion one more time. What do you have to say to ShoWTimE?
Well, me and ShoWTimE, we both showed which region is the best outside of Korea. And now I'm going to show him who is the best in Europe.
All right, then. Well, we already have some fighting words from Nerchio, but ShoWTimE, you said you were hungry for revenge against Nerchio, but this isn't just about revenge for you. This is about becoming a StarCraft II champion for the first time in your career. You heard what Nerchio had to say. What do you have to say back to him?
Nerchio, I know you think you're better than me, but today you can't stop me, and I'm taking home the trophy.
Okay, then. Players, you may shake hands. It is time to find out who will be champion today here at the Spring Championship. Will it be Nerchio or will it be ShoWTimE? Let's head back to the desk and find out.
One of these two players will join Zest, Dark, and Pult at the Global Playoff, the first European to join the ranks. Can't wait for that, to see that develop at the end of the year, but let's find out who is going to be there. Joining me back on the desk, of course, no one's changed. It's Control and Tastosis. Hype, hype, hype.
Yeah, man.
I'm getting a little tingly over here.
But that smack talk just flying around back and forth, man, it's going to be electrifying.
I do like Nerchio's smack talk about who's going to be, what he said, now Europe is the best region for players. We're going to show them which has the best region for casters, Ortosis. They're going to find that out, too. That's right.
It's still America.
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Yay. Oh, hey, yeah.
I'm European.
3 of us are.
An exciting finals, of course. Both players very keen, you know, expecting to take down this finals, but who is going to at the end of the day?
I think it's a really good match. I do think that Nerchio will take it down. I think that he is the best foreigner right now. I love his play. It's like I'm watching a top-end Korean play. But I think that ShoWTimE is going to give him a really good match. ShoWTime's style is way different than Neeb's. Like, ShoWTimE plays much more like a top Korean Protoss in the matchup. And, you know, I think the fact that Neeb was always going for death balls was really a hindrance to him. That's like something that Nerchio is going to tear apart. But with kind of like the fuller play that we see out of ShoWTimE, the fact that he's going to use more Warp Prisms, he's going to split his army a little bit more, maybe a bit more harassment and whatnot, I think that that's going to do better against Nerchio, but I don't think that it's going to be enough against Nerchio. Yeah,
we'll have to see. I mean, I've been wanting to think that Nerchio can get kind of tripped up. That Neeb series was very close, but otherwise he's been tearing through players, and he's had one of the harder runs to this final, I would say, and he's made it look very easy. 3-0ing Polt, by the way, guys. Like that. Firecake at Austin maybe exposed Polt a little bit, and that was 3-1, but even that was some back and forth, very exciting games. This was 3-0, not exciting, not close. It was Polt looking bad, real bad, and it's not. And we can be quick to judge, but it's actually because of Nerchio and his smothering playstyle that was just like, wow, that was really one-sided.
And remember that ShoWTimE as well, looking at his bracket too, has beaten a couple of Zerg players on the road to where he is now as well. He beat Sortov very early on in the tournament, very close, and Sortov's a very good Zerg player. He then went on to beat Guru, a very tricky Zerg player that almost tripped him up getting to this position. And now he's going up against another one, the one that he played in Katowice in the round of 32, where again, a very, very close, any one of those two could have gone through. It really came down to the wire. Here are the map vetoes, though. Of course, best of 7, every single map's going to be played.
Yeah, looks like Core Hall Carnage would be our final map. I would love
that would be crazy
to get to that again.
Yeah. You know, I look at the two players' play styles, and my biggest concern for ShoWTimE is how is he going to deal with Nerchio in the late game? Once he gets into the late game, and every time he gets to that point in time, he always has map control. He's got everything covered. He's so good at countering. I know that ShoWTimE is a very strong player, but I feel like if he's going to be winning, or when he's winning his games, if he's winning his games, it's going to have to be in the mid game or early game with more timings. If he doesn't win there, he has to do a crippling blow at least, I think, to survive in the late game. What do you guys think?
Well, I would say that, like, the thing that I really like about ShoWTimE, and kind of why I asked you on the desk, I'm like, does he use Psystorm, right? Because that is going to be something very important, the type of style he uses. If you use Psystorm, you also use Charge Lots. Those are two really important units against someone like Nerchio. Like, if Nerchio's trying to smother you, keep you in your base, you have to hit him somewhere else with something very powerful, and that's going to be in the form of a Warp Prism, Zealots, possibly Psystorm coming out as well.
From what I heard from the pro gamers here in Control is that Nerchio does obviously play an aggressively tricky type of Zerg play against Protoss, and the pro gamers back here, at least the Protoss ones, are saying that ShoWTimE is way too solid to take damage versus these type of plays.
Yeah, but T-Jorgo in particular, shout out to him. He was kind of talking about the two different play styles, and we've seen this from Nerchio the entire time. He likes to load up 3 Overlords with Hydras. Like, he'll just do whatever he can to get him in your base, just keep you in your base. But ShoWTimE has gotten here off of his staple solid defense, and then we saw a little bit of an evolution. He actually did a 2-base cheese against Violet, so he's mixing in as well his off-putting harass and his attempts to keep you in your base. So if he can negotiate a best of 7 as well as he has been doing the best of 5s and mixing up his play, but having that really solid defense is kind of his mainstay, that could be that clash of styles that does favor ShoWTimE.
All right, well, we're just a minute away from the finals now, moments before we begin. Predictions then, the two players here on screen. Tasteless, where are we going and why?
Take us home, Tasteless.
I want this to go to the last game, but after seeing Nerchio's playstyle, I think it's going to be a 4-2.
Wow.
But I would be pleasantly surprised to see ShoWTimE win here. This would be huge for him, especially when you just see how sick Nerchio is right now.
Yeah, I was kind of going towards a 4-2 Nerchio, but it might be a 4-3. I would really love to see that final map, and I think that ShoWTimE is good enough that he will deflect enough of the harassment of Nerchio to pull some games out of this series, absolutely. I'm thinking 4-3. It's going to that 7th game. Nerchio's going to take it.
Okay. I mean, I think Nerchio's playing absolutely insane, but so far what we've seen from ShoWTimE is he's really picked up momentum and hasn't tripped up at all. And in particular, that 3-0ing of Violet was really impressive to me. If he can play at that level against Nerchio, I think he actually could take the series. I do think it'll be really close, but I'm gonna throw out the caster. I disagree. Maybe it's different than
you
what
said that over here, so I got to say this over here.
Yeah, well, look, we have different opinions. I think 4-3, 4-2, something like that for ShoWTimE.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to begin the grand finals. Let's do this one last time here at the Circuit Spring Championship. Tastosis, take it away.
All right, we are going into the finals, Artosis. A lot on the line here. Both these guys looking just phenomenal. Let's go ahead and intro our players. In the upper right, in the red, he is ShoWTimE. And in the bottom left, in the blue, wishing good luck, have fun, he is Nerchio!
Going to be a fantastic match. Everyone's pretty sure of that. Who is the best European and kind of by extension, I would say, the best non-Korean player in the world?
I think that's a very fair statement to make. We had a very diverse crowd, players from all over the world here, and I think we are going to be crowning the best non-Korean by the end of tonight.
Yes, absolutely agree with that. And I tell you what, if I'm right about Nerchio here, if he ends up taking down ShoWTimE with just the great solid plays that we've seen from him so far, I feel like this is a guy that can go far in Blizzcon as well. His play has not been lacking. Anyone who wants to look at the games he's had in this tournament and try to say that he is not a top-level pro doesn't know what they're talking about, man.
Let's talk about this matchup on this map, and specifically in this case, the patterns of expanding we're seeing here from Nerchio. So this map is a map a lot of macro players like to play on. You have an expansion that you can take, in Nerchio's case, in the back of your base. But in this game specifically, Nerchio's going to go ahead and expand to the front. Now, does he have to take that back base? Not necessarily. You could try to do some kind of crazy timing. It does create some ambiguity for the red Protoss ShoWTimE in this case on when exactly that base is going to be taken, which is why he's patrolling with his probe over there. ShoWTimE on the upper right side of the map is instead expanding to the back of his base, and this is very standard for Protoss, and we'll eventually see, unless it's some kind of two-base timing, we will see ShoWTimE push onto the low ground outside of his base and expand there as well.
That's right, and he's already made a pylon there, so it looks like he does want to very quickly take that third base, of course, after a Stargate. That is the standard of this matchup right now, but you could be trying to throw Nerchio off. The thing is, I don't think that's the case. ShoWTimE is a very strong macro Protoss player in this matchup, so he might want to test out on this, the most macro-friendly map, if he can take Nerchio heads up.
This is also a map where we have a lot of tension in the middle. Oftentimes, if you can cross past the middle area over to your opponent's side of the map, you can control circulation for them pretty easily, but this is a map that definitely just rewards what we call turtling, or just very defensive play.
That was kind of interesting right there. He lost 2 Zerglings immediately to his... Like, normally I wouldn't point out this
I almost ignored it because I thought they would just run away and it wouldn't be that impactful, but it's interesting that he actually lost 2 Zerglings too, for essentially no reason.
Yeah, that's not very common from a top-end pro, so that I wonder, like, he must have been doing something at home that we didn't get to see, but right now we do have this Overlord coming over, maybe to peek inside, try to scout exactly what it is that's going on, and Phoenix is starting to clear out these Overlords.
And this Overlord is just peeking in over here. It looks like ShoWTimE has not made that Nexus yet. He may be waiting for the Overlord to be driven out. Meanwhile, another Overlord coming into the main here of ShoWTimE to try to get a peek at what the tech is. The Cybernetics core obviously out, and Phoenix is coming in here. It's a really good idea to just get some idea of what exactly your opponent's doing as far as tech goes. Because, you know, Protoss, you know, in the next couple minutes here, they have so many different options on how they can play the game. It's not just about the execution of those options. It's about hiding that information or disguising that information in some way, masking it so that Nerchio can't get a right read. Because generally, if Zerg doesn't do an attack in the mid game, Zerg is simply reacting to the Protoss and trying to stay one step ahead so that they're in better shape in the late game.
That is certainly true, Tasteless, and reacting as a Zerg player has to be one of your strongest suits, unless you're just going to rush them down every game. But there is one place where Nerchio really can make a decision, and that's with the type of style he wants to play as far as his unit comp. Does he want to go for a Ling Baneling style? Does he want to go for a Hydralisk into Lurker style? Or does he want to go for something crazy like a Baneling Hydralisk style? That is something that he's going to be choosing here very quickly.
And, you know, with the Phoenixes in play here, he's going to start to move these around the map. Now, these are multifaceted units that can be used for many different purposes. He can try to take out Zerglings that are spotting on the map. He can try to drive out Overlords. I think Nerchio's pretty much going to keep his Overlords safe for the rest of this game. Taking out drones is good as well, but also very important is to try to scope out the tech here from Zerg. This is also a phase where Protoss then needs to begin reacting properly, counting drones, seeing what the tech is, trying to keep track of the upgrades, and then having a balanced army on the Protoss end. Because with Protoss, you have to have a sophisticated army with all the right numbers of units to engage with the Zerg. A lot of times the Protoss will just lose a game. Let's say they lose a bunch of their Immortals or something, and they can't rebuild that as easily. Zerg making everything from the hatchery. As long as you have the money there, you can do it.
Yeah.
Protoss, because they're coming out from several different tech structures, as well as warp gates, that can be a different issue. So there's really a balancing act here for ShoWTimE.
It's very tough if you do lose some of your high-tech units, and that's not something that I think we're going to see ShoWTimE let happen, and if he does, that's because Nerchio won the game right there. So we do see him flying around with these Phoenixes, and he has all the intel in the world. He sees that it is Hydralisk tech, he sees the 4th base, and he sees that it's not exactly a Lurker Rush. Instead, there are Hydralisk upgrades on the way. So this is going to tell him everything he needs to know to start really building out the types of units he wants, which is, of course, is going to be a lot of Immortals. And soon we'll see what style he wants from the Twilight Council. Does he want Charge or does he want Blink?
And, of course, Zerg now taking the 4th base. This is the typical location for Zerg to take because it makes the center-left expansion for the 5th base a little bit easier to secure. Obviously, ShoWTimE is totally aware of this. He's going to have to keep back with these Phoenixes. Also important to note, he stopped that Phoenix production there, going in and getting the Zella legs, getting more attack upgrades. And we're hitting the phase for what we call is the gateway explosion, where finally all the probes are mining from the 3 bases. Now he can start to really pump out units. And this is maybe not now, but in the next few minutes, the point in time in the game where a conservative Protoss player can begin to flex his muscle on the map.
Yeah, he's really getting to everything that he needs here. He's going for the charge. He's getting a bunch of Immortals. The Templar Archives on the way. This is the difference between ShoWTimE and Neeb, for instance, two of the very best Protoss out there. Neeb would be getting Blink here and making a Deathball type of army, whereas we see right now, it's going to be a little bit more mobile and a little bit more harassment friendly here for ShoWTimE with that charge upgrade.
We did see a Nidus network, and that's pretty exciting. Let's keep track of where he's going to be placing that in this game. This is really important. At times, a Nidus can be used to do counterattacks. Other times, it can be used to reinforce a barreling assault onto the front of the Protoss' expansion.
Yeah, that is very interesting that he's gone for that.
I don't think we've seen him do a Nidus, at least from what I've casted and seen. We've been casting a bunch of games, sometimes different games at once, but I didn't see him do a Nidus timing like this, I don't believe.
I don't think so. Yeah. Because he is going up 2 Lurkers right now. He's continuing to get upgrades. Nothing really looks all in from him, so we'll see what he wants to do with that Nidus. It could be something just to scare him, or if ShoWTimE gets out of position, it could do a lot of damage.
I'm going to go on a limb here. Because he's going Lurkers, the center part in the map here that we just had a shot of back there, you can try to control that maybe with Lurkers to stop him from getting on that side of the map. I don't know, maybe he wants to do something crazy like use a Nidus to try to control the bottom right, because if the game goes on for a very, very long period of time, you can cut off Protoss from mining those bases in the bottom right by sucking up the resources yourself. Not sure if he's going to do that, but otherwise it's going to be something either used to counter and surprise when Protoss leaves, or reinforce a big attack in the front.
Yeah, kind of interesting about that. Now he is morphing a lot of Lurkers here, kind of in the middle of the map. ShoWTimE is out with his army, but doesn't look like he'll go right here, right now, and he does have some drop overlords as well. I wonder what the plan is here.
Yeah, he had him set right up over there in that choke point. It looks like he wants to do, this is kind of Brood War-esque. You drop in the back of the Protoss' base, and then you attack the front, well, in this case, possibly the 4th or the 3rd. And he looks like, it's going to be a 3-pronged attack. He's going to send Lings up here, possibly to go to this natural over here, or to the upper right, drop over there, and then send Lings down here to attack this base in the center right.
Can he get that 4th base? That would be absolutely huge. In the meantime, he does drop out into the main base, 8 Hydras and 2 Lurkers, so a lot of harassment going down right now onto ShoWTimE.
And the Nidus over there in the upper right, 4 different locations attacked at once. He pulled the Lings out of the center right location. The Zealots are not going to be able to do much damage over there. The Lurkers obliterate them. Probes pulled to the bottom right. Meanwhile, up here, the Lings are going to try to target down and destroy the Nexus.
Look at this. He is just playing ShoWTimE like a fiddle right now. Harassment absolutely everywhere. ShoWTimE's army doesn't even know where to go, and the back natural falls.
And we have another Nidus over here, and clearly with the Nidus play set up like this, this wasn't meant to just be for a little bit of time until Protoss can take it. He's going to try to end this game with non-stop aggression on all sides.
This is crazy right now. A ton of lurkers. Look at this. They're going back into this Nidus. So it looks like he gets away with almost everything.
Oh, wow.
And now he can siege up that fourth base.
Nidus location in the upper right was perfect because he can now have the entire army hit over here in the center right. And most of the Protoss army is not quick enough to get back down there in time, which means this Nexus will go down.
Down it goes, Tasteless. And with it, many of the chances of ShoWTimE to come back here. But he is pushing forward. If he can erase this army, maybe he can get something done. But so far, strategically, Nerchio has way outplayed ShoWTimE.
Another Nidus coming up. We have Lings hatching out right now. Coming in here, taking out that pylon. Note, Nerchio not expanding off of this. It does seem he wants to finish his opponent off here. More Hydras coming in. And again, Immortals definitely not the most nimble of Protoss units, are being juggled around the map at a rate that ShoWTimE cannot keep up with.
This is absolute madness. He's coming up with all of his Immortals, all of his Archons. They are starting to blow up, trying to get in against this Hydra Lurker, but the amount of damage coming out of Nerchio's army is overwhelming. Down they go, and GG! Crazy play by Nerchio there.
Wow. Okay, so Nerchio did one of the best multi-pronged attacks I've ever seen in StarCraft II history.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's tear that attack apart there, because I think ShoWTimE definitely blown away. ShoWTimE looked good up until the moment that was triggered. So there were literally 4 different attacks, and he balanced out the unit composition with the 4 different attacks perfectly. So he had the drop in the main. There were Lurkers and Hydras, and I think a couple Lings in that. Then he had the Nidus come out with primarily Lurkers in the upper right. Now, those are the units that are the most difficult for Protoss to kill and most specific. He had a few Lings to dislodge, hopefully, the center right base. He had a few Lings to hit the probes at that expansion, with a couple Lings at the bottom, hoping to then take out that final last base. And what happened was, even though it started out with ShoWTimE being okay, eventually the Lurkers in the upper right, he has to send back all these units to get in over there. Right when he's in that position to take out those Lurkers, he pulls them back through the Nidus. It's really smart. It's really safe. Here it is now.
Yeah, this is just the most beautiful move. Having the Lurkers in the back here with the Nidus, and then popping up another Nidus below the 4th base. This is strategically so difficult to deal with, and everything else is just a small harassment. Like those Lings you see right there in the 4th, that's just forcing the army to be very slow. It's buying time for the Lurkers to deal more damage over here. So everything about what Nerchio did there was amazing.
And by the way, that's the map a lot of Protosses feel comfortable macroing on. You feel like you can hold stuff off. And that was such a sophisticated assault. And there were a lot of different ways you could have played with it depending on where the army went. For instance, those Lings didn't take out the 4th. Instead, he had to reroute the Lurkers back through one Nidus into the other and hit it that way. ShoWTimE did a good job, but Nerchio had an answer for everything. I'm wondering now if it's going to be time for ShoWTimE to start doing some more thorny attacks early on, because I don't feel like Nerchio, just like any good Zerg, is a player that you can leave alone for a very long period of time. He just gets too big. Anyways, introducing our players down here in the bottom right, in the red, he is ShoWTimE! And in the upper left, in the blue, our Zerg player winning game number 1, he is Nerchio!
Wow. Just wow. I think everyone that's tuned in expected to see great play out of Nerchio here, but he's outdoing himself at the moment. That was fantastic. And this map is kind of, it's a good map for multi-pronged harassment, for moving multiple armies around and trying to pick apart your opponent. So definitely one that we could see Nerchio do something kind of similar on. Not necessarily the Nidus type play, but definitely running around, hitting 4 locations at once and seeing if ShoWTimE has what it takes to stop him.
ShoWTimE was doing exactly what I thought he should probably be doing here. He's going to open up with a little bit more of an aggressive play. I think that's important because, you know, the scariest Zergs are the ones that if you leave alone, you never beat. If you play a ton of Zergs, it's tough. So he wants to put on some pressure. Now, I'm not saying this pressure is going to hurt Nerchio, but it's definitely going to limit the number of drones he can crank out here, and at least force Nerchio to respect ShoWTimE in the early game.
Well, we will see about that. I do agree with you, though. Like, to go for something like maybe a 2-gateway adept a lot quicker here, it's a good thing to at least try against Nerchio, because if he just goes into another macro game, can he actually do it? And I like the fact that he tried that in game 1, because that's kind of the most standard map. That's the map he's going to feel most comfortable on. So if Nerchio runs circles around him on a map like that, is he going to have much chance on a map like this?
It's a good question, Artosis. Let's see how Nerchio goes ahead and responds here to these adepts coming out. And let's also keep track of how many adepts exactly ShoWTimE's going to make here. You don't have to keep making them. You can always tech up. It's really a matter of how many drones you want to stop here, and also how much damage do you think you can do. I mean, good Zergs can also at times really dance around this. The Nexus is finishing up. We have Ling Speed on the way, and it's now going to be 12 Lings here in a response.
Well, those Lings are going to be coming out. What is he going to be able to get done? We have these Adepts coming up. They should be able to scout what's going on. It looks like he's coming around. Only a few Lings shown so far. That's kind of a big amount of Lings there to see. I don't know that he... Well, maybe he'll be able to catch these.
Well, let's see. Actually, that's a pretty good surround. I mean, the timing on that, okay, this is really bad. That was a disaster early on. You have to keep those Adepts alive, or Zerg can then just pop out way more drones. So it's 8 Lings lost to the 2 Adepts. That might look like a fair trade, except that the Adepts cost gas, and that's pretty important early on for Protoss.
And let's not forget, to get those Adepts out so early, his Nexus was a little bit later, so it doesn't have quite as many probes or quite as much mining time there. So there's a lot of little things to take into consideration, but definitely he's happy to have taken down those Adepts.
Yeah, Nerchio definitely going to breathe a sigh of relief here in that moment. We have the, the Stargate warping in here. We've had Phoenixes be very popular here at DreamHack. Let's see if he does that. We have seen Oracles before, but it seems like, especially for ShoWTimE, the Phoenix play is probably going to be the more likely one.
And it was really successful last game as well. Let's not forget, he got a bunch of Overlords, consistently scouted throughout the game, and then went into... He got like 16 drones as well with it. So that was some successful Phoenixes. It's just that his follow-up wasn't quite good enough on the defense.
So the Adepts are going to try to push out now here and take care of this. Now he has these spotter Lings over here, also possibly to take out any would-be expansion that ShoWTimE would not be hyper-vigilant about taking care of. So for the time being, it's going to be a fairly, even though the openers are different, somewhat of a similar situation to the phase of the game we were in game 1. Phoenixes will clean up Overlords. ShoWTimE will ideally try to disguise or delay what he's doing until he's hoping Nerchio can't follow it. Nerchio's going to make drones, push out creep, and of course the Phoenixes will eventually come in here and survey the Zerg's bases and try to figure out if he can take out drones or spot the tech.
Well, right now he's actually going for roaches, so he is going to get aggressive early on here against this third base of ShoWTimE. This is something a little bit different from Nerchio, and I like the fact that both these guys are already mixing up against each other.
Well, this is super meta here by Nerchio within the best of 7, because he's saying, all right, he wants to try to be aggressive to me, and this guy is then going to try to get into a proper place in the late game, so he's going to try to punish him right away. But I do like the Void Ray coming out here.
Yeah. The fact that he's seen it this early and those roaches have turned back around, it looks like he realizes, okay, I'm not going to do any real damage here. He's already got the counters ready. This is the power of these two players. They keep acting like they're going to do things like, okay, I'm going to be aggressive with Adepts. Oh, no, you got the counter. Okay, I'm going to be aggressive with the roaches. Oh, no, you've seen them so early, I'm not going to be able to do anything with this.
One of the strengths you can have is by feigning little bits of play like this, another player can end up overreacting.
Yeah.
And that overreaction can get you off of balance to where you properly and perfectly want to be in the late game.
And you know what? Those roaches as well kind of stifled the Phoenix production and the Phoenix harassment, let's not forget. If you have to do something like make a Void Ray, if you have to keep him kind of on the defense, you're not going to be able to get as much done as he did in that previous game. So far, I would say it's a pretty even game right now.
I would agree, Artosis. I don't think we can say any one player's been in the lead. They've both taken some snips at each other. But other than that, it seems like it could still be anybody's game. What I am curious about and looking for is, will Nerchio, and if Nerchio does do this, how will ShoWTimE actually handle the multi-pronged harass? you know, it does look like there's a very high chance he's going to be going into the Overlord drop play here. I don't know if he's going to use a Nidus again. I think, frankly, the Nidus thing he did, that's not something you can only do once and never get away with it again. I mean, that's technical enough. You just have to be fast enough and with it enough to stop it perfectly every time.
Certainly. You know, I'm not sure. It looks like he is getting the melee attack upgrade as well as the ranged. So maybe some Hydra Zergling coming up is getting the speed for those Overlords. And I'm sure he's going to tech into Lurkers as well. But ShoWTimE is doing fine as far as his tech goes. He's getting that Warp Prism, which is so important against Lurkers. I cannot stress enough, you have to have it. He's also going into a lot of Immortals, and we'll see. The Twilight's done. Does he go for charge again?
I want to highlight something you're saying, Artosis, over here. I think with the Warp Prism, why that's so strong about the Lurkers, for our viewers who might not be as experienced with this concept, the Lurkers eat up a lot of supply, and they're certainly not mobile. So if they get a ton of Lurkers, what you'd have to do is simply attack where the Lurkers are not. And they're not flying like Broodlords, which are also somewhat immobile. You can go to different locations and start hitting, sometimes even with more than one Warp Prism, taking out drones, taking out tech. And it's, in a lot of ways, a little bit similar looking to what we saw Nerchio do to ShoWTimE this time around. Now, when Nerchio timed out the Lurker tech in Game 1, the moment the Lurkers were done, the attack started.
And you know what, we might see that again here, especially considering he has some additional roaches to help buffer, and he has a good amount of Hydras out, which, speaking of which, this is another big reason you need that Warp Prism. The long-range siege units, such as the Broodlords, the siege tanks, the Lurkers, the Colossus of this game, they need a lot of units around them. So generally when you see a Lurker-based army, everything is there, and that Warp Prism or those Phoenixes can get some good harassment done.
Speaking of the Phoenixes, he really slowed down on that. We've seen, you know, him do this in a couple of his other games here. This seems to be about his ideal amount, and then he wants to start to devote most of his gas to the greater tech here to try to get the solid ground army. Now, this expansion that we had in the center right, if we can get a shot of that, that expansion is going to be very important because it's far out from the rest of the Protoss bases, and that's something that Zerg can punish, and oh my god, Tosis.
Ooh, the Nidus once again here with that Lurker Den and 3 drop Overlords. It looks like he wants to do the exact same thing that we saw last time. Now, we do have ShoWTimE taking this 4th base. It's a 4th base postured towards Nerchio's 4th base, which means he wants to be attacking here non-stop. This is going to get action-packed in just a minute coming up. We do have the Warp Prism coming over, Adepts popping out as well.
Now the Warp Prism backing up for this point in time. We're going to try to see if he can actually get in here and do this damage. The timing is actually so tighter by Nerchio. I don't know if we're going to see him do this every game, by the way, man. This seems to be something pretty solid.
Well, if this is something he's practiced a lot, which it really seemed like on Dusk Towers in Map 1, then it's something that he is going to be very good at, and ShoWTimE might not be ready for. So look at this. We do have multiple armies going on, but this is a great engagement so far for ShoWTimE.
He's going to push in right now. The Lurkers are burrowing, but he's got the Phoenixes picking him up as we speak. For a little bit there, ShoWTimE kites back. The Roaches go forward. The force fields go down. I think it looks like ShoWTimE might actually have to back up these Lings. Might even try to come around and block that, but Nerchio decides otherwise.
All right, he does back up there. That was good at the beginning of the engagement there for ShoWTimE, and in the meantime, no damage has really happened to him, right? He's got his 4 bases, maybe not fully probed up yet, but it's looking fine. Nerchio hasn't been able to do any damage to him yet.
Cleaning up these Adepts over here, and Nerchio, it seems like that, at least the timing of the Nidus play was thwarted by the threat of ShoWTimE. This map, by the way, different from the last map. The last map, we had Nerchio go to the one circulation point in the middle, so he could be rest assured that he would know if ShoWTimE was going to push out. This time, this map has a lot more free roaming on it, and that's something that Nerchio's going to have to be careful about.
Yeah, well, he's roaming forward and freely right now. Looks like he does want to try to hit this base again. Does he actually have a Warp Prism on the map, though? That's going to be something that would really help out while he's hitting here, trying to split up that Zerg army.
Okay, he's going to try to push in here. We don't have a ton of Zerg units to cover these Lurkers. Lurkers alone might not be enough. The Zealots spilled through. We have the Immortals in the back doing a lot of damage. Hydras coming in from the bottom left. This is a pretty nice arc. And oh man, a lot of more Hydras coming down here in a good angle to do damage to these Immortals.
And we do have the Prism actually flying in over the Hydras. It gets targeted down in a matter of seconds, and ShoWTimE does back up, takes a better arc there in the back of the choke, and now will run away a bit. But that was very good at the beginning there for ShoWTimE. He picked off a lot of of lurkers because, again, you need a huge chunk of army with them for them to live long enough to deal their massive damage.
We also see an expansion rotating to the center left. Meanwhile, a big attack up here in the top center, and it looks like ShoWTimE has actually outmaneuvered Nerchio there. Nerchio just not in the right position there to respond to that. Could Nerchio have fought that army? I think possibly, maybe not, but it seems like ShoWTimE just outmaneuvered him, and now we're seeing a beeline maneuver from Nerchio headed down here to the center bottom right.
All right, the Ling's going in and immediately surrounding that Immortal. He's going to get that free pick off. There's a bunch of Pylons here to kill as well, but this is mostly just Hydra Ling. Only a few Lurkers in here. He can't do a sustained fight with this army.
Now remember, one thing that Nerchio does a good job of exploiting is the fact that the Immortals are just not fast units, and the Protoss army has to orbit around the Immortals most of the game. Speaking of which, not going to be a lot of Immortals for the next little while here as he takes out this really important robo-attack. But he gets in there, he does the damage, and he's now, I don't know if he's going to escape with everything. It looks like, okay, yeah, he will. But he managed to make ShoWTimE chase him, and this is going to be a little bit of a window of opportunity here for Nerchio to try to reassemble a stronger army to possibly punish him again, and I think that moment is now, Artosis.
All right, a lot of Lings popping out, but Zealots clean up that Nidus so quickly. That was an opportunity, but he isn't able to get anything done with it. In the meantime, ShoWTimE is pushing forward, chasing down Nerchio, and will take down this brand new base.
So right now, ShoWTimE is going to try to just start pushing forward here. He's going to try to pin the Zerg army back into the base. And with ShoWTimE actually in a lead here, economically, and it looks like he should have his tech all back up and running, I think Nerchio's in a lot of trouble here, Artosis.
Yeah, it really does look that way. His economy is in shambles. He's still got a really good army size, so maybe he can get something done. That's what he's trying for. These Hydras attacking across the map, trying to take out ShoWTimE's 5th base up here, and it looks like they should be able to at least get that.
The Protoss army now coming up here. It looks like he will be able to drive back these Lings. I got to say, ShoWTimE really stepping up his game from game number 1. He started out that initiation against Nerchio, so Nerchio couldn't do a multi-pronged timing attack, and he's splitting his armies really well. It doesn't seem like Nerchio's able to find a soft spot just yet.
No, he's not. He's been trying to get something done, but the overwhelming pressure that's been coming out of ShoWTimE, the fact that he continually hits forward with his main army and picks off as many units as possible is making it tough for Nerchio to have any breathing room to pull off something like he did last game.
This could be the killing blow up here if ShoWTimE manages to pull it off. This is a very important expansion up here in the top center, and this army from Protoss is pretty sick. A lot of Archons, a lot of Immortals. If he gets these 2 bases or even one and can actually cut off one from the other, that would be huge.
Look at that Immortal count and that Archon count and that Zealot count. That army is gigantic. He moves up, going to take out this 4th base once again, basically for free, but Nerchio's trying to maneuver around with these Lurkers. Of course, they have been tagged so he can see them, but Nerchio needs to get something done now or he is never going to take this.
Okay, huge play there by ShoWTimE. It looks like Nerchio wanted to try to box in that army and maybe try to swallow it up. Remember, if Protoss loses all those Immortals, it's a big reset button on opportunities in the game. But with Nerchio doing the great tag there to monitor the movements there of Nerchio, I think ShoWTimE is really starting to one-up him. By the way, the entire right side of the map almost completely under the control here of ShoWTimE.
That's something Nerchio cannot allow to remain happening. He does come up, burrows those Lurkers, takes a nice concave, and does start blowing up some of ShoWTimE's units. This is... the armies right now are pretty close, Tasteless.
It looks like he's going to come up here in the upper right. He's going to try to put the pressure up here. And it looks like Zerg's going to have to back off. By the way, ShoWTimE, with a lot of minerals and extra gas here, is clearly very focused on trying to micromanage against this. But big play here by ShoWTimE. He actually takes that base out.
That is a great kill for him right now. So ShoWTimE is knocked back down to 4 bases, but still, that's a great position to be in against Nerchio here, who is having a hard time actually keeping a 4th base up. Also, Psystorm on the way. Very, very important to try to deal massive damage to those grouped up Hydras.
Yeah, this is like the final little bit he needs here. By the way, great harass here by ShoWTimE. Just 1 Zealot, already taking out 7 drones. And it's also very clear for ShoWTimE when he sees those drones long distance mining, that Nerchio is very strained on mining resources properly here.
That's right. If he can just make this game go a bit longer, then Nerchio isn't going to have too much of a chance. He's just not getting much income right now. So ShoWTimE pushing forward at the moment. He does have Psystorm, and that's going to be big. Here he goes. Psystorm's going off on these Hydras. Tons of damage dealt to them and the Lurkers.
And, you know, the style of play that Nerchio's doing, which is kind of this, like, Valley Battle Zerg style play, where he wants to fight you in narrow areas. Psionic Storm nullifies that at 0-6. He actually got the hatchery to cancel. I think Nerchio is almost out of oxygen, Artosis.
Yeah, he is not long for this game. He's got to make something happen. Here we go. ShoWTimE coming up this ramp, trying to get an engagement going. A lot of Lurkers come up to burrow, and he has to back off from there.
A counterattack over by Nerchio might be the best possible option. We got to see if ShoWTimE overextends here. The Hydras and the Lurkers are going to take this base out. And I'm not sure how many minerals actually are left here in the bottom right side of the map for ShoWTimE. This is going to be a moment where they're just tearing each other's expansions apart.
Look at this. He is attacking onto those Lurkers. Those are really cost efficient, though, dealing a lot of damage to his army, but still almost everything killed off. These two last Lurkers killing quite a few of the Archons.
That's going to be it. GG! Game number 2 goes to ShoWTimE, who made the proper adjustments and managed to come back. I mean, in game 1, Nerchio looked unstoppable, so that shows what a serious improvement that was there for ShoWTimE.
It seriously was, and he had Nerchio on the back foot the entire time. His pressure, his attacks were fantastic. He was getting the good part of the engagement, and then as soon as it started to swing into Nerchio's favor with those burrowed Lurkers, he backed up, he ran away, he reinforced. Great play out of ShoWTimE, and we have ourselves a series, both winning one macro game each.
Important to note was that was a real chess game back there. You could see ShoWTimE did the right push at the right time. He didn't do a push at the early part of that game with the intention of actually winning or even taking out an expansion. He pushed him back so that the Lurkers had to defend and couldn't go on that offensive. At the same time, Nerchio, respecting the push there from ShoWTimE, managed to start expanding towards the bottom left side of the map. But overall, ShoWTimE was just splitting his army correctly and never allowed the different attacks from different angles to work.
No, it was great. And, you know, at the end, we did see Nerchio trying to do something with the counterattack. He was hoping that his Lurkers would scare ShoWTimE's army away and maybe he could outmaneuver him through the map. It was really kind of obvious for a long time that ShoWTimE should be winning the game, but Nerchio was waiting for a moment like this where maybe ShoWTimE is going to make a mistake and allow him to pick up the game, but ShoWTimE just showing he is too smart for that.
Okay, we're going to go into game number 3 here. Clearly, these guys very evenly matched. Nerchio with new information on ShoWTimE, that ShoWTimE is a player who can adapt. So the question is, does Nerchio try to do that Nidus timing again? I think he's going to have to adjust it. He tried to feign a little bit of roach rushing to make it look like the build order was off kilter a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Let's see. We're actually already in game here. In the bottom right, in the red, our Protoss player ShoWTimE. In the bottom left, in the blue, it is our Zerg player. He is Nerchio.
Really anyone's series right now, tasteless. One macro game each, and we move on to Ruins of Endion. One of our newer maps, definitely a complicated map. A lot of rocks that can be destroyed all over the place to open up new paths or to block paths off. So we did see Nerchio play a fantastic Zerg versus Protoss versus Neeb here before. But with ShoWTimE's kind of different style and his great attacks, maybe he can defeat Nerchio here.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I do like the way that he plays on this map, specifically with the Lurker pushing and controlling the Protoss. I don't know if ShoWTimE is going to try to be too aggressive here. We do have to note that ShoWTimE is opened up with a different variation of a Protoss build each time. He's not just sticking to one build that he knows best. definitely keeping Nerchio having to react properly each game.
Yeah, and, you know, Nerchio mixing up a little bit as well. You know, he did see the 2 gated depths, so made that early Roach Horn last game. And, you know, maybe that worked out a bit better for ShoWTimE, but Nerchio didn't have any trouble turning a different opening into a strong macro game.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So yeah, the architecture on this map is really weird. There's like 2 different ways to engage the opponent here, through the rocks that we see down here and across, and then above this it's a bit more, a little bit of a longer route, but you can attack over there. We don't normally see the upper half of the map play as big of a role here, but you know, that could change in this game. These guys seem to be able to get into the late game pretty properly. I know that ShoWTimE is going to be cognizant of the lurker attacks and timings with Hydras on this map. The question is simply, what does he have in store for Nerchio to try to make that as difficult as possible?
Yeah, and you know, I think it is going to be kind of more of the same out of him. He really likes to get his double robos going, lots of immortals popping out, and you know, get into those charge lots to help him really engage against a Zerg and be as mobile as he possibly can as a Protoss.
Okay, so Zerg's now taking the center left expansion. We have the Adept that's going to poke in here, get an idea of the whether or not the hatchery's there, and the hatch is. And he may actually shade in over here. No, he's actually going to do a different variation of this. He's going to go for the drones and then shade out. Looks like Nerchio should be okay with this. I don't think he's going to lose any drones there. Nicely done.
Yeah, a good micro there on both sides, getting as much info as he possibly can right there while trying to harass. Now that Stargate is up and an Oracle being made.
Okay, so ShoWTimE's been using a lot of Phoenixes throughout these games, and the Oracle, I think, is a good mix-up. You know, one thing about StarCraft is it's not just like, I have the perfect build and I did it right. It's a best of 7, right? And any good StarCraft player is going to adapt and in a sense, like, download the information from game 1, reincorporate that into game 2 to try to have a better style of play. So ShoWTimE is mixing it up here. Probably Nerchio is not expecting an Oracle. Obviously, Nerchio knows best, but there's a chance of that. And this is going to be a different variation where he gets the Oracle first and then gets Phoenixes after this. And who knows, Nerchio, sometimes he's been greedy. He may end up losing some drones here to this.
He definitely could. You know, he's been timing out his spores to block Phoenix harassment, not Oracle. Oracle comes a lot faster for this. So here he goes. No spores up right now. And the Oracle definitely can get quite a few kills here.
All right, 3 kills so far. And actually unable to get that 4th kill. I don't believe the Oracle is going to be used to dive in anymore. Instead, it'll probably be used to tag parts of the army to check and possibly use it as a spotter for cloaked units as well.
Scout a bit with it, you know, maybe even a stasis ward here and there. The Oracle is definitely a very useful unit in Legacy of the Void. And of course, it's going to force those spores to finally go up here for Nerchio.
As you can see, the Phoenixes are actually taking out the Overlords. This is all par for the course right now, as Nerchio is going to have in the last few moments there, you know, the part where it's going to end the easy scouting for those Overlords. Here we see ShoWTimE expanding to the center right. He's just getting the rest of his tech, Twilight Council, Forge, all that.
Yeah, but where are the Robos? There aren't any, and that's really cool and interesting to see out of ShoWTimE. This is like a little bit against the current metagame where you do see a ton of Immortals coming out very early. So what will he be going for with this? Possibly just a very quick charge, maybe a blink even.
Yeah, I think mixing it up like that. We got the Robo Bay here now. But like you were saying, I mean, we've seen a lot of double Robo Bays right away. I think it's important that he mixes up the unit comp. I think maybe a timing or something like that. There is a very specific moment in the game where Zerg does begin to abuse Protoss. Protoss, if we can get a shot of the expansion in the lower right that Protoss will be taking, I'm sorry, to the right of this. This base is the one that Protoss normally has to take here, and that's when the abuse begins here for Zerg. That's where it becomes a real headache. And so I think maybe having a different unit comp at that point in time, maybe the opportunity to blink and do a lot of damage elsewhere when the push is happening, that might be what he's going for.
Yeah, you definitely could be right about this. You know, we did see Neeb, even though Nerchio kind of outplayed him here and beat him at the end of the day, he had some good fights over in that area due to those Bloom Stalkers and due to getting Disruptors out a bit later. But let's see here. He is getting that blink very quickly. A lot of gateways being added on. This could simply be a blink timing attack.
We got 2 Hydra Dens on the way here. That's interesting. Trying to set up here.
Hydra upgrades and Lurker Den same time, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, unless it's a mistake. We have seen in finals occasionally people double up. And
4 Hydralisk Dens.
Okay, that was close. I was going to say 2 Hydro Dens, maybe that's a thing. 4 is just not.
Yeah.
That would be only for aesthetic Sartosis.
No, I mean, that would be a lot of
that would be him trying to fix the feng shui in that side of the base.
Exactly. Now, the Oracle is flying in, does get a little bit of a tag off, and he sees both of them. So this, like, when you see 2 Hydralisk Dens, one becoming a Lurker Den, the other one upgrading, you know exactly what is coming your way. There is nothing that can be mistaken here. So with that Blink finishing up, the second Robo coming up, and the Robotics Bay, he's getting into exactly the units he wants to fight against this.
Zerg right now going to tear down that wall over there that would give him access to the 4th base. We do have the Robotics Bay coming here. I'm wondering if this might be a little bit late for him to get the Disruptors out here. When you're going to fight this this kind of bully hallway, valley, narrow path Zerg with Lurkers, the answer is Disruptors. You want to chuck in Disruptors over here. And it's not easy. I mean, it looks easier than it actually is to do, but to bully the Zerg back and get them onto open ground.
Well, right now he is bullying back as best he can with those Blink Stalkers before any Lurkers are ready. And that Lurker Den is almost done. Does check here. No 4th. Nerchio taking the 4th base up to the north of his 3rd base. And, of course, that's a very smart place to go. But the Oracle finds it and will pick off a few drones.
Nicely done. We have some Overlords going ahead over here to the center right. I do believe we're having ShoWTimE in the bottom left of the map here. Just stayed in position. It's a short path to go over there, and he wants to see if the Lurkers or anything else move out. He can go in there and try to do the damage. But there is a drop as well that's going to be used here, and I'm not sure what what ShoWTimE has here to defend for that.
Yeah, this is a little bit scary. He has a lot of his army on the other side, but 8 Hydras can decimate a mineral line.
We got some Warpins over here, but these Hydras are going to be able to do damage so quickly. There go the pylon cannons, actually doing a great job. And overall, I got to say, that was really nicely done. Actually taking out that Overlord. Only 1 Hydrogen Overlord gets away, and maybe he'll make that into a Lurker later on and try to drop it there.
Just perfect defense there by ShoWTimE, really showing a ton of skill. Here we go, Nerchio starting to break down these front rocks. He wants to start hitting everywhere on the map at once. In the meantime, this massive Blink Stalker army with its new Disruptors going back for the defense.
He might wait for the moment that falls and then start shooting those Disruptors in there. Let's see what happens. The Lynx come in now. Doesn't look like ShoWTimE was quite ready. And another attack, reinforcements rather, coming in here from the top. And this is going to mean a counterattack right now in the bottom from ShoWTimE.
Oh man, ShoWTimE going with that counter, but these rocks will be knocked down soon, which means he could possibly take out this 3rd base, a very important base for ShoWTimE at the moment. He does have some defense up there though, and look at this, he is attacking, but there's a lot of Lurkers burrowed all over the place.
And it looks like Nerchio's not interested in going back. I'm not clear on if ShoWTimE actually has enough here. Oh my god, this is going to be so sick. He actually does that damage to those Lurkers. All 4 are bruised, hardly any remaining. This push could easily break Nerchio.
Yeah, it looks like it might indeed. Blinking on top of those Lurkers, taking them out, already pre-bruised, and a huge force field wall here, knocking down these rocks. He wants to steal his army out.
That was so sick. Force fields into wall off. He can go in here and punish whichever expansion he deems most important.
What a fantastic move out of ShoWTimE. Nerchio going around killing these other rocks, but force field's already on that ramp, blocking everything from coming.
I think he has enough force fields to lock out the Lurkers and Hydras from the next attack in over here. He's going to get his whole army in here. This might be a neck-breaking move here from ShoWTimE.
More and more force fields. We do have Disruptor balls coming out, killing off almost everything that attacks in. This is great control, great strategic play from ShoWTimE. Just fantastically done.
And you can really see ShoWTimE showing us the strength of pushing through that lower center valley down there, because you can cut the Zerg off from the beating heart of its main.
Well, you know what? His army is starting to get a little bit bruised, though, and as Nerchio starts to push back, maybe he can get a defense off, but ShoWTimE has already killed off a ton of these units and started to go for the drones.
He's going to come down again. I believe there are enough force fields to once again make it a lockout. Disruptors coming first to dish out the damage. Supply at 110 to 160 right now. ShoWTimE is not stopping.
Oh, blinking forward here once again, going after these Hydras. Where the Lurkers there? No, and GG! Wow, a fantastic showing from ShoWTimE here once again.
That was so sick, man. He handled that so well. You saw Nerchio try to set up for the attack over there at the top. He got in there, we had, I think it was 4 force fields set up, and to lock out when the attack came in. First of all, he had those disruptor hits that hit the lurkers, so he punished that. He was caught off guard for a minute. At the same time, when he got the force fields up, Zerg thinks, okay, I got a little bit more time. I got to get in there. I got to do the damage. He knocks down the wall.
So good.
Locks him in.
Man.
And I think the game was kind of over from there as long as ShoWTimE played well, and he played perfectly.
He really played the map there, outmaneuvered Nerchio time after time after time. Nerchio had insane macro going. He had a great army. He was starting to get his harassment going, but like at every turn, ShoWTimE had the defense and then immediately would counterattack, saying, okay, this is exactly enough to hold on over here while I move over for a finishing blow.
It was
unbelievably good play out of ShoWTimE.
It was really nicely done. I mean, ShoWTimE is way amped it up each game going forward in this tournament, and I'm starting to get very concerned for Nerchio here.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit rough. These macro games, ShoWTimE showing that he can use multiple different sets of units.
Here it is, Tosis.
Man, what a move that was.
Amazing. That was so cool. And the problem here, guys, is that you're actually in between all the hatches. You're right in the middle, which makes the rallying for Zerg really problematic. The Zerg units can't meet up with each other, so through the rally points, they get eaten up by the Stalkers and everything else. I mean...
just masterful, and he really played the map. So I can't wait to see what he's going to do on this one. Invader LE.
In the upper left, in the red, our Protoss player up 2-1. He is ShoWTimE! Winning the first game, but losing the next two. Our Zerg player in the upper right, he is Nerchio!
It's down now after that first victory on Dusk Towers. After that victory, I think Nerchio probably felt really confident, like, wow, he couldn't even come close to stopping me. But now, twice in a row, he has been stopped.
It's so funny because when we had game one, I saw how well Nerchio played, and I'm like, oh, wow, I said like 4-2. I should have said 4-0. Nerchio winning this. But ShoWTimE really adapts here. I'd say he's adapting better than almost any other, in a best of 7, almost any other player that we've seen. I mean, he really identified, oh, okay, Nerchio, is that what you're going to do? You're just going to do this timing on me and hope that I'm just sitting back trying to max out his Protoss, and I haven't seen this before. But he's really getting in there. Now, in this map, on these spots, we've got them both sharing the top. Artosis, do you have anything special you think we can expect as far as mid-game and late-game techniques here? Because it seems like these guys are not ending the game early at all.
Well, if it goes into one of these late-game situations, again, where they're both macroing heavily, I think that probably ShoWTimE has to fall back on charge rather than blink here, just because of how big the map is. He's going to need a lot of harassment. Bases are really far apart. But from Nerchio's side, I would say that the style he's been trying, you know, kind of counterattacking everywhere, hitting everywhere at once later on with Lurker, Hydra, Ling, drops, stuff like that. I think that's going to work fantastically here. Even the Nidus Worm type of play, because these two main bases are really close by air, but super far away by land.
Yeah, you know, Nerchio has been dropping more than most of the Zergs that we've seen here. And, you know, especially in Korea, we've seen a lot of drops used as cheese early on. But Nerchio uses this as a really valuable tool in the late game. I really like it. And it's actually a lot like when Zerg developed a lot in Brood War, they would always do this to Protosses, where they would basically wait for Protoss to get this kind of death ball, big, scary army. And then they'd start dropping in the main. Mass drops more so in Brood War, but in this one, it's little drops everywhere, and it's tough for Protoss to juggle. I mean, yes, Adepts can go places fairly easily, and Stalkers can blink, but if you look at the speed of the army itself, if you were to track it, it's actually not that fast. They don't have like medevacs with boost or anything, or a creep highway to run on. So Nerchio's really exploiting that here.
He certainly is, and I think that we are going to see more of that from him, but we could see ShoWTimE mix up once again. He's adding a couple gates. We don't see a Stargate yet, so already a different type of opening. And, you know, maybe he just wants to get aggressive, maybe with Adepts.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think that's not a bad play to have over here. I think he can definitely try to come in and punish him. I would expect these guys to do at least one all-in or one really sick timing at least once this game. generally speaking, if you try to do a macro game and go into late game every single time, you're going to get punished.
Oh, yeah, that becomes way too predictable.
There's a lot more weird rushes that you can do than basic tech routes in the late game. And I think it's very important to throw your opponent off here. Let's see, though. I mean, ultimately, it's up to them. Double Stargate, Toastus.
All right. Double Stargate means we should be seeing a lot of Phoenixes. Could be something like a Phoenix Adept push.
We've seen a little bit of that here at DreamHack, and I don't think it would be a bad idea. Now, Nerchio identified immediately that there's 2 Stargates there. I don't think we're also going to have a cancel of that either when he backs out. I don't think there's actually a build you do, correct me if I'm wrong, where you're like, oh, my bad, and, and cancel that out. So let's see. ShoWTimE will be forced to commit, although I don't think he's going to be too concerned about that. This is more difficult to deal with than it is, you're not just going to be surprised by it.
Yeah, that is very true. And, even if you see that these Phoenixes are coming, it's okay. The double Stargate Phoenix is a doable strategy. You definitely can get damage done no matter what with these. It's just a question of how much. Can Nerchio stem that tide and still healthily be on 3 bases, taking a 4th?
We got 9 roaches coming out right now. And let's see if he tries to be aggressive with that. 6 lings over here, Artosis. In a lot of games, we see players, they make the roaches first, they send those across, and then they make lings behind that because the lings move a little bit faster than the roaches, so the lings actually get there where the roaches are. In this case, he's going to do that to try to catch these adepts, but you got to be careful because with the fast lings, you can actually get in front of the shades and sometimes catch them. We've seen a little bit of that. That can be used over here like this.
Well, let's see. He does actually shade right into those roaches as they're walking out, so very nice here for Nerchio. Going to force them back, and this time, unlike against Neeb, he is going to chase these shades down, which makes them cancel.
Yeah, that was a smart move there. We have had a couple moments here at this DreamHack where we have players just shading like it's a speed run to get to the right side of the map instead of using shade as a tool to escape or to peek in, and that was a good example of ShoWTimE doing it properly.
All right, well, the Phoenix is chasing down these roaches at the moment, picking them up one by one, trying to get any additional harassment onto this army that they can, and the Queen's actually coming out to push them back.
As you can see, the Nexus is now coming down, and we got the double Robo right over here in the bottom right for the Protoss' side of the map. If you're wondering why we see a lot of Protosses do that over here, it's because you want to get the Immortals to reinforce into the battle very quickly. They're clunky units. You want to have them right there in the front to defend. We got a Nidus network, Artie.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Queen Roach is going to do very well against Phoenix Adept, and that's really all that ShoWTimE has. He never got any damage done with that harassment, so, this is good for Nerchio. I think that this is a really solid play as long as he can get that Nidus up.
Phoenix is going to go over here to the center right. Looks like they're hiding behind the shrine or something. Going to try to come up. It looks like Nerchio's got really solid defense here. But let's see. I mean, with the Nidus possibly popping out here, I actually think he needs to get the Phoenixes back like yesterday.
Yeah, he really does. Look at this.
Okay, here he knows now.
Yeah, he's making a beeline across, but already the Queen's popping out. The Ravagers as well, going after this natural base. I can't imagine him holding on to it.
No, I think he's going to be losing this for sure. It's going to be very tough for the Protoss army to get in over here. Note he's actually targeting down these pylons pretty carefully to make sure the pylon cannon can't do that much damage.
And he continues to push forward here. Some force fields going off, but they are only buying a little amount of time. The Phoenixes go up. They're going to try to pick off as many of these Ravagers as they can. Those are the big damage dealers here, even going for a Queen now.
Okay, the Protoss army's trying to get in here, but this acts like a funnel. He's going to have to back up. This expansion 100% going to go down as corrosive biles wipe out everything left in the Protoss' position.
A lot of transfusions going down as well, preventing these Phoenixes from truly helping out in the fight. More and more Lings actually rallying out of this Nidus, and Nerchio is doing some critical damage.
I think Nerchio is going to be able to actually keep this position as a reinforcement point. If he does, I think there's no time for ShoWTimE to actually win this game. Let's see.
Well, he's going to go ahead and get this Nexus. The Cybernetics core is down here as well, so as soon as he kills that, only Zealots can be made out of these gateways, which is going to be really rough against a composition like this.
Now, Nerchio is really committed here. Note, these Immortals that are so strong and so important cannot get to the upper main. Nerchio has to make a tough choice. Does he want to engage and cut off the Immortal tech, which I think would be checkmate, or does he want to try to get in the main and wipe out the rest of the tech, which I think is another way of getting checkmate? It's going to be pretty pretty tricky because if he attacks the wrong one and ShoWTimE holds it, then he might not be able to get to the other.
Yeah, that is true. If he actually wipes out this entire army, ShoWTimE still has a chance. He has some powerful units. These Immortals are game changers, but here we go. It looks like ShoWTimE coming in, starting to micro against this army.
Important to note that he's making drones behind this, Nerchio is. So I think he might actually evacuate this position, build up, and then hit again in the front, or try to Nidus somewhere else.
Yeah, he definitely could. He's actually going for a Spire behind this. I absolutely love that
Yeah, this
play.
is cool. Let's talk about this. This is
really,
great.
it's a clever move right now. He's killed off most of the Phoenixes, and there's no money for ShoWTimE to do anything to get more Phoenixes, so he's just going to stay on gateway units and Immortals. So if this game lasts long enough and Nerchio gets into Mutalisk, they could be a game ender the second ShoWTimE sees them.
Yeah, this is really exciting. Now, he's going to keep the pressure on here. He wants ShoWTimE to make as many Immortals as possible because they're not going to have any utility against air here. And he's doing a good job of doing this. You know what? To some ways, he might be able to break this if ShoWTimE just miscontrols this as well.
Yeah, Nerchio, he has the lead in each and every way that you can think of, but ShoWTimE, he's doing the one thing that might win him this game, microing his Immortals heavily and continuing to make them for a big counterattack if he does win against this army.
With the strat Nerchio's doing, we got to see how much gas he's banked up. We have 1,000 gas right now. That can be roughly 10 Mutalisks in a very quick period of time. And this is possibly the moment, actually maybe a minute from now, is going to be the moment where ShoWTimE might have the rug pulled out from under him.
Yeah, look at that army. It's very strong against things like Roaches and Zerglings and Queens, but against Mutas, he has almost zero. So look at it. This attack that Nerchio is kind of doing, this is a feint. He actually doesn't want to have a full-on battle. What he wants to do is scare ShoWTimE into thinking that's what he wants to do so these Mutas can catch him blindside.
And by the way, he milked that amount of time for as long as I think is humanly possible. He's going to back up now. We got the 13 Mutas rather, on the way. Now, what the Mutas can do is hit into the main here or into the expansion. It's really up to him.
Hey, he can even go after the army.
Yeah.
Like, there's almost nothing that hits
This
them.
is like one of those choose-your-own-adventure books only on how you win the game, Artosis. He can turn to whichever page he wants to, and it should be a GG, a victory for him.
I think you're just about right there. Now, the Mutalisks are starting to pop out. Where will he go with them? We do have ShoWTimE moving across the map right now with his army, and he finally sees the Mutas.
All right, the Mutas are out now. There are 2 Phoenixes here. But the Muta number should be big enough. Now, he can try to micro these Phoenixes to do extra damage, but I think overall he's just going to have to turn around. And look at this, taking out these sentries. I love it.
Oh, the sentries being taken out. The War Prism as well, and GG!
Nicely done.
Nerchio realized, or rather ShoWTimE realizing there that he just had nothing against that Mutalisk tech. Very well played by Nerchio, mixing this game up.
Does Nerchio have the best Nidus play in the world?
He could.
I think he actually could. I mean, in Korea, it's mostly cheeses with this, but he's like, no.
He's utilizing these Niduses in macro plays on big maps to move his army around very efficiently and sneakily. It's working out very well.
I love it. He did this cool play where he actually cut the bases in half. And that's so funny. We were talking about earlier, Protoss always make the Robos normally out closer to the middle of the map because Immortals are clunky, they're not that fast, and they're integral to the Protoss' army actually winning a fight. So what he does is he actually separates the Robos when he takes out that expansion from the main, which, by the way, has the rest of the important tech. So really cool stuff there.
Yeah, and you know what? My favorite part there of Nerchio's play was the constant pressure. After he kills this Nexus off, he's just constantly walking up to the ramps and being like, hey, I'm trying to kill you with this. I'm trying to kill you with this. Making it look like it's some sort of, Roach, Ravager, Queen all in. But in reality, all he's doing is forcing ShoWTimE to continually make Immortals, Zealots, things like that, things that don't shoot up.
Yeah, he stayed here for so much longer. I love the fact that he did the Mutatech switch. I think another Zerg player of lesser skill would have tried to stay on the Roach Ravager and kept trying to win with additional Nidus after Nidus after Nidus after Nidus. But Nerchio saw past that and saw a great game-ending move, and that's exactly what he did. Introing our players in the bottom left, in the red, he is ShoWTimE! And in the upper left, in the blue, with a great Nidus play, he is Nerchio!
And so here we are, tied up, 2-2. Arena is our map. I'm loving it, man. This is one of the craziest maps in the entire pool.
Otosis, this map is sometimes not fun to play on, but always fun to cast and watch.
It is down and dirty.
It's down and dirty, and I love that we have more maps like this. I think it really forces players to think outside of the box. I think a lot of pro gamers will complain. They're like, I want the most basic map so I can do the thing I practiced a million times. But when you introduce new maps like this, it forces people to actually think about the game without it, being in the most basic, in its most basic form. And I think that's actually you progress RTSs forward, is making people actually be uncomfortable and still figure out how to win, by the way.
No, totally. Like, if you try to do your basic strategies on this map, the macro up, the longer game, just expanding, you'll die to someone that just walks across the map and attacks you because it is so close. These bases, you can get over there in a matter of seconds.
So if we can get a wider shot of the map here, let's take a look at the narrow path that actually leads quickly down here to the south here. So if you guys haven't been keeping up with StarCraft, this path, direct access to this location here. But if we can go to the right here, the destructible rocks, this is a more easily accessible location in a later game. But that narrow path can be used to counterattack if they go through that. And of course, the distance between air here from the two mains is a factor. I think normally it's not going to be as big of a deal in the early game, but it becomes a huge deal in the late game. And guess what, Artie McTosis?
What, Tasteless McTosis?
Nerchio has been using a lot of drops.
He really has.
And he might be using that in this game.
Don't forget, Warp Prism, Phoenixes, Oracle, all that stuff going to do a great job as well.
Then again, I don't know if we're going to go in a late game because there's a hidden pylon there in the center right. So after I got all excited about that, maybe I was wrong. What is this? Okay, Twilight Council.
That's a quick Twilight Council. Now, is this to hide a fast glaives upgrade for the Adept attack speed? Or maybe a Dark Shrine? Should be one or the other.
This is interesting, and that is so removed on the map. Nerchio would have to go way out of his way to find that. Now, when you do a build like this, the key concept you want to be doing is something called masking, which is to try to make it look like it's a much more modest version of something where you're trying to get a base or maybe do a different kind of all-in, and then you blindside them. And this was one of the cheese plays. Dark Shrine, sick. This is one of those plays where you want to mix it up so that way Nerchio probably thinking about drops late game and counterattacks. Guess what? You got to play by the terms that ShoWTimE is going to give you.
Yeah, and this is really cool, man. Like, Nerchio, we don't expect him to go for a fast layer, so Overseers are not going to be very useful. He needs detection, though. And without showing any Stargate units and just showing a depth pressure, that's not something that Nerchio is likely to make. If he has no Spore Crawlers, he's going to be in a lot of trouble when these DTs walk in.
Yeah, no kidding. Robo Bay off of this. Now, let's imagine a scenario where the DTs are actually held. Oh my God, hold on. Can we get back up to that pylon? He did not see the pylon, right?
Oh?
No, I'm talking about, there's a proxy pylon somewhere at the top, I believe. There it is. I don't think Zerg saw that.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he did.
Okay, that was close.
Oh, man.
Now
this might just straight up kill him, Tasis. We have no detection right now for Nerchio. He's just blocking this off. He thinks it's a massive depth attack coming in, and he's only partially right there.
Yeah, now right now, Nerchio probably scratched his head saying, okay, well, that's why I put the spine there. Anyways, on to the next part of the game. Is about to be hit with a lot of DTs. Now, Nerchio might have the really good game sense to know that was too suspicious of an action. I think he might have wanted to wait on doing that, because I think that was, like, if you're like the best poker player in the world, that would be a tell there. But let's see how prepped he is.
He has no spores right now, Tasteless. He starts to make one. The DT's walking forward. It's a little bit late, and here they go. The third base starting to lose drones, and natural as well.
He's evacuating the drones. The DTs are in pursuit. We see spores going down. If he can kill the spores fast enough, they're never going to activate to be useful in this part of the game. The Adepts have also gone around, are going to be incorporated in this attack as well.
And these DTs doing some massive damage. The third base looks like it is going to fall almost no matter what, with Dark Templars and Adepts attacking. We do
that was
actually
close.
A Prism coming as well. The Queen falling.
Now he's got the roaches over here to handle these Adepts, but I believe there's going to be DTs in the main here. Right now, Protoss hitting in so many different locations. I don't know if there's anything that Nerchio will be able to do.
Oh, the DT's going after the spore, and it does get planted, but look at that, it gets picked off as well. 2 DTs still left over there.
So sick, he actually let the War Prism take some damage to guarantee the pickup there on those DTs. The Roach Warren goes down.
Oh man, too much damage, but the layer finally finishes up. We do have an Overseer on the way, but damage has been done here, Tasteless. It looks like it's 40 drones against 58 probes, 2 bases against a budding third for ShoWTimE, and not much luck here for Nerchio.
Queen's taken out back there. Drones, the ones that weren't killed, were stifled from mining for a little bit. Nerchio trying to lick his wounds right now, as ShoWTimE, I believe, is actually going to gear up for another DT harass.
Yeah, he's trying to see what he can get done. He has a lot of DTs on the map. He's following up with Blink and Immortals and Gateways. A great choice indeed. Nerchio doesn't have a whole lot of different strategy choices to go with. He just has to kind of stay on these ground units, make some Roaches, some Ravagers, maybe a Hydralisk Den, but this is a very tough spot to come back from.
Dude, he's got the 5 gates coming up here. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of Protoss muscle in play, and I think the crippling maneuver was done. I think up next, Gyaratos is the killing blow. Even if Zerg survives that, Zerg is going to be starved for drones.
Yeah, you're very right about that. If he has to put all of his larva, all of his money into making units, he's just going to stay behind on economy, and that's kind of what we see. So very smart here from ShoWTimE, attacking forward and keeping that pressure on when he's already ahead.
By the way, he wants to bludgeon him, not try to split this up and harass, because he made those Archons there out of the DTs. The attack's coming forward right now. ShoWTimE looking phenomenal. GG! ShoWTimE taking the lead with a very sick, sneaky strat. Really throwing Nerchio off. So much for late game, buddy.
No, really, that was very well done, mixing up. Nerchio now down 2 wins against 3, and that means that ShoWTimE is on match point for the rest of this match. Nerchio must win the next 2 games.
I feel like ShoWTimE is successfully built around the play style of Nerchio. He's identified Nerchio wants to rip your heart out in mid game. All right, right when it's Legacy, so mid game looks a little bit more like late game if you were playing StarCraft before. He actually wants to do a lot of these Nidus strats. In this case, ShoWTimE is doing a denial of this in every possible way.
Yeah, he really is, and that makes you think maybe he can go ahead and take the series. But Tasteless, our next map is going to be Prion Terraces.
That's right. That's a pretty weird map.
Pretty good map for Zerg, I do here.
Yeah.
Gold bases and all,
Yeah.
But you know what? ShoWTimE, he's shown some cool strats.
Well, he's doing these strats where he's kind of avoiding the parts of the game where Zerg might want to be in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's really brilliant about it. It's not just that his builds are working, guys. It's that he's identifying what Nerchio wants to do, and he's saying, no.
Let's do this instead.
Let's do this.
And man, well, we'll see if he can do that on the upcoming map. He did a great job hiding that Dark Shrine, keeping pressure on.
Yeah.
Nerchio just didn't feel it out. And he might want to do something kind of like this again. Maybe a big Adept attack, maybe an Immortal push, maybe Dark Templars again, who knows? But something to derail Nerchio early on, because Prion Terraces is a very good map for Zerg versus Protoss. The Zerg can just get so many of those gold minerals.
All right, we're in this game. Match point. Nerchio can't make any mistakes here. Introducing our players. In the upper left, in the red, he is ShoWTimE! And in the bottom right, in the blue, our Zerg player, he is Nerchio!
The pressure is on Nerchio right now. He has to win this game to bring it to that 7th and final game. And oh man, what a series it would be if he could.
Okay, Artie, let's talk about this map. This map's really weird. It requires a different style of play. There is a gold base at the natural. Whoa. Okay, all right, he actually took the other gold base.
Yeah.
I was going to get to this. There are 2 gold bases that Zerg can take. Nerchio took the other one. We had shots of the crowd, so I don't know if there was a probe sent out really early or what.
It was a probe coming down.
Okay.
I think he looked at it and said, you know, to try to battle a probe and get a hatchery down here when he can pylon block and whatnot, forget about it. He goes ahead, takes a gold that he can absolutely take, and I think he'll probably take his natural as quickly as is reasonably, you know, able to do.
So here's the burden right now for Protoss on this map. Zerg, as they have always, tend to expand ahead of the other races. They need more expansions to balance, you know, the production of their units. And of course, the way the Zerg race functions, they can get those expansions generally pretty easily, unless the Terran or Protoss can catch them off guard. So the problem for Protoss is that Protoss doesn't get that 3rd base with gold minerals as quickly. And having the gold minerals gives you a huge amount of extra units to move out with. So Protoss is going to have to figure out, assuming that Zerg actually takes this natural, and I see these drones moving out. He hasn't taken it yet. If he gets those 3 bases, Protoss has to do something to punish Zerg before Zerg gets too big.
Yeah, and we're going to see pretty quickly here exactly what that is. He's making some adepts, just chrono boosting them out, getting the warp gate research, getting his natural expansion with that gold base up, and then we'll see what his tech is, how he wants to damage Nerchio. But for the meantime, you know, it's just kind of both players building up those economies and getting into the tech that they need.
Now note he's hidden that, that drone from the vision there. I think ShoWTimE can easily assume it's going to be taken, but you know what? You might as well try to keep some ambiguity there.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of pressure on these guys.
Every little thing, any doubts that you can put into ShoWTimE's minds are going to help you out quite a bit. But the Adept is going to check that out immediately, and we do see a Stargate is the tech of choice here, you know, for ShoWTimE. Will it be an Oracle, do you think?
Yeah, I think it will be, because the first base Zerg took from for his expansion is pretty far. I think he could punish that, but also he's been more Phoenix heavy. We already saw the Oracle incorporated. Okay, it is going to be an Oracle. Cool.
All right, the Oracle, you know, it definitely can pay off on a map like this with these gold bases. The drones at the gold bases are worth so much. Killing any of them really stifles that economy. So we're going to see him most likely make a beeline to that gold base, and if there's no Spore Crawler, just like in the other game with an Oracle opener, then he can get a lot of drones.
So for Protoss right now, we want to see when he will attack. I think generally when the Protosses try to take the blue base or the gold base, that's when Zerg has a moment to try to squash him. So let's keep our eyes peeled for that. Now, one thing Nerchio knows for sure is that Protoss might want to do that. So he may be just looking to try to like wax on, wax off, deflect that, and then do his own counterattack. But first, this Oracle's got to come in here and try to get as many drones. And you know what? Delaying the gold base for mining, this is pretty sick.
Yeah, look at that. And no queens standing there at the beginning of it. So already a lot of drones falling. 5 drones taken out. And let's not forget, he's making a second Oracle at home, so he's going to have even more harassment coming up.
Yeah, and this is pretty cool. And this actually can parlay into a pretty strong follow-up, hitting this, you know, with the 2 Oracles and tagging and surveying later on. But right now, yeah, he's got a good number of drone kills.
In the meantime, we do have ShoWTimE coming down with a second Oracle. Oh, man, no Spore ready here quite yet. 3 more drones going down before he pushes it off.
All right, man, I got to point this out. He has done a lot of delaying of mining, and these Oracles cost, like, not that much.
Yeah.
Compared to what this is costing Nerchio, I mean,
great Oracles.
ShoWTimE is very happy with what he's done so far. No, he did not deny the expansion, but yes, he certainly delayed the mining, and it cost him almost nothing, and he lost nothing.
Now, look at this. He does run up with the Zerglings that he has, tries to get some units here, but ShoWTimE's quick force fields do save his sentries, going back up, and he's just trying to whittle down this army as best he can so he can start to get aggressive against ShoWTimE's 3rd base.
Now, losing these sentries is a disaster right now. You know, he was in great shape a little bit ago, but if you lose too many sentries, you're basically hitting the reset button for the Protoss deck, and 24 links and a queen timing Artosis.
Oh, that's a lot of queens coming down right now. Force fields are key on holding this. A lot of links coming in for this flank as well. Photon Overcharge goes down on that pylon, and Nerchio starts to pull out.
We see the Mothership Core trying to drive back these links. They are doing a good job. If Nerchio can pull this off, he could smash the third and smash the second and take this game.
Well, right now we do have those oracles in the middle of the map as well, trying to do a little bit of harassment against the Lings coming up. They do get some additional kills, but that third base already going down right now for ShoWTimE.
Will he keep pushing and going into the second? I think it might be a wise idea. Meanwhile, Nerchio continues attacking. Look at this, Artosis. He's going to back up.
You know what?
Very conservative move here, but perhaps it would be a bit crass in a series where he's not allowed to make a single mistake or he loses and gets second place. I guess he wants to play the safe route.
Yeah.
I totally respect that.
Well, you know, attacking up a small ramp with the wall at the top against Protoss with slow queens and lings, it's going to be iffy, even if they have very few units. So you're right, he's playing it very safe. He does not want to risk dying here.
So the queens are going to go back now. And what Zerg wants to do, generally speaking, we'll see. I don't know if he might go Nidus's again or something like that. I don't know if that's just what he does now. But generally speaking, Zerg surveys the Protoss' third base and waits for it to start, sometimes finish, and then just crushes it again.
Yeah.
And then you know what you do, Artosis?
What?
You could play a loop of what I just said, because you just do it over and over and over again until the Protoss runs out of minerals and has to leave the game.
Well, it's a good way to play. Well, he definitely could do something like that. He's teching up right now, getting the Hydralisk Den, getting some upgrades, attack upgrades, because he wants to be aggressive, and some roaches. Whereas right now we do have a lot of Blink Stalkers on the other side. But is that going to be enough to hold on to the vast different techs of Nerchio?
We got the gold coming up here. Nerchio got to be feeling very confident, but he knows that ShoWTimE is a really crafty player. He's very adaptive, and he's pretty smart about when he pushes out. He's not one of those guys that leaves his base and is like just gets wrecked and is like, oh no. Could he try to get a takedown here? Okay,
Yeah.
I think another wise conservative move.
Yeah.
Doesn't want those links to get force fielded in because he gets too greedy.
Yeah, it costs him a little bit of energy. Maybe he can go back and hit later when there's less photon overcharges. We'll see. But right now, we do have ShoWTimE moving forward. A lot of queens, a lot of hydras popping out as well. The lings are here, but there are quite a few force fields available.
As you can see, the force fields are going to block off the Zerg for a little bit. Is he going to be able to actually break in here? And he's going to start trying to do it right now. Notice the sentries in the back. Can he lock anything with the force fields?
He might be able to kill him. This is a ton of sentries. He's moving forward. The fourth base for Nerchio is about to finish. Some Ravagers are out as well. And I love this tag on that army, being able to watch it the whole time.
The Lings are going to come up right over here. They're hitting the pylons. Once again, he drives it out. The Stalkers come in here from the top. He's cut that army up pretty well. That was about as good as you could ask for in a moment like that.
A giant concave for Nerchio as he has to turn around and run away. These oracles coming up as well. The Lurker Den is coming.
Oh my God, is he actually going to do this?
Oh,
this
man.
is insane. He blinks forward. He's killing the drones. Good force fields again. He's isolated the expansion. He's going to be able to take this out. This is huge. And the Warp Prism gets in safely.
He could get trapped, though, as well. Let's not forget that Nerchio has a strong army. This third base is going to fall, but all these units are on Nerchio's side of the map. Maybe he can make something happen.
We have him deciding to back up now. Now, that's no longer a gold. Yes, Nerchio's army, very scary, but he's on a blue base, and if Protoss can get back and defend this, what's crazy about it is that then Protoss has a superior economy.
Oh, he's chasing down onto these Hydras. Some great force fields come out of ShoWTimE as he tries to punch through. The Zergling's slowing him down a little bit, but does Nerchio have enough?
He needs to get these sentries back a little bit here. The Stalkers are engaging the Hydras, but having a hard time. The Oracles come up. I think those Oracles are going to go down pretty quickly. Definitely a misplay there by ShoWTimE. He might have wanted to take the long way around, but that's like really tough to figure out what to do.
Oh, that is tough indeed. A good move by Nerchio to be able to pick off most of these units. The sentries are all gone. The Queen's actually coming up to fight these Stalkers, funnily enough, while Nerchio goes across the map for a counterattack.
You know, ShoWTimE did the damage. He got in, but he couldn't get back out. However, I don't believe the counterattack here from Nerchio is necessarily going to work. this kind of a funny situation here. He's continuing to micro these, using Blink and using the Warp Prism pickup to try to buy time. Nerchio going to try to come in here and intercept. He needs to keep that Warp Prism alive.
This is going to be rough. He wants to kill all of these units off. A nice blink up onto that high ground, but Nerchio is already running up there to catch him.
Nicely done. The Warp Prism, is it going to live? He backs it up. Actually stopped for a second, terrifying me. Uh-oh, it's going to get intercepted. Nicely done, Nerchio. Really a back and forth game.
Yeah, Nerchio chasing down ShoWTimE's army as best he can. That was about as good as that could have gone for Nerchio, considering he lost that third gold base. Just chasing down the army, killing a lot of the expensive units, and his army's looking pretty fearsome right now.
He's actually going to keep pushing forward here. When you see a Protoss with just a lot of Stalkers, sometimes that can be a bad moment. He has to get back with the rest of his army. Zerg, though, looking pretty strong. It's 108 supply to 141.
It's a big advantage for Nerchio. Well, you know, ShoWTimE, can he hold this? It's mostly a Blink Stalker army. He's kind of stuck on creating these units, so it's very tough. He blinks in on the lurkers. Oh, but so many get blown up.
That was really nicely done. And you know what? Nerchio, we have a similar situation to, I believe it was game 4 or 3, or was it? Where he actually had the Nidus and locked out the 2 bases. Same thing again. Really nicely done. GG. Impressive play there by Nerchio. But of course, that's also a map that Zergs, you know, they love that map.
They generally have an edge there. And here we are, Tasteless, going to Game 7.
Oh my God.
You could not have a better final here this weekend.
Yeah. And it's going to be on a really weird map, Artosis. We're going to go into that when the game starts, but it's been back and forth. I love the way these guys are playing. It really shows how close they truly are in skill. It's not like we start out with one player dominating, the other is turning it around. It's back and forth and back and forth, and now it comes down to this one game where there's absolutely no way that you can play a normal game on.
No, certainly not. This is going to be crazy. Yeah. Get out there, hashtag WCS, hashtag DH Open, and let people know what is about to go down. It is Nerchio versus ShoWTimE, Game 7 for a spot at BlizzCon, a load of money, a load of WCS points, and a ton of pride being the first European champion.
Yeah, and basically the best player outside Korea. Yeah. I think these guys are playing way better than anybody else we've seen. I thought it was going to be more one-sided with Nerchio, but no, I was totally wrong. Yeah. ShoWTimE looks phenomenal. He's winning in all these different ways. Nerchio seems to be able to stick to his ability to isolate and attack multiple locations at once, but I mean, he's also been very adaptive throughout the series.
He really has, and I love a lot of the moves that we saw from Nerchio where he would just give up areas or run away. He didn't want to waste any units, knowing that his chance was to whittle down this army, kill off those sentries, and then beat a mostly Stalker composition.
Now, this was an interesting play that we saw from ShoWTimE. We really got to talk about this. He actually got in here and got the base, but because he would have to make this kind of horseshoe shape turn to the top and then to the left, it meant that Nerchio could actually dive in, making a beeline to the left side of the map and take out that gold base. And it was a game of cat and mouse there in the upper right, but ultimately Nerchio shut it down, closed it out with a win. In the bottom right, in the red, he is ShoWTimE! And his opponent here in the upper left, winning that last game, taking us to match point. Our Zerg player, he is Nerchio!
I repeat, game number 7. The winner here goes to BlizzCon. This is huge. Both players really think they are the best that there is here in Europe. And to be honest, both players are right, Tasteless.
Okay, man, we got to talk about this map. This map is kind of crazy. Where do we begin, Artosis?
All right.
How do we?
Core Hall Carnage Knockout. This is the least played map by far. That's probably why it is the 7th that we see. There are endless destructible rocks around the map to close off passages, to open up passages. It's a gigantic map. The middle has a gold base that Nerchio actually took in Game 5 against Neeb to finish him off. everything about this map is weird, different, and cool.
Yeah, it's really exciting. A lot of pro gamers try to avoid this map because you have to learn a whole new different way of playing, and that's why it makes this map so exciting. It's also interesting because there's so many destructible rocks, you can reconfigure the shape of the map constantly, and that is a beautiful thing. You can also cut off locations, pop out of other ones. It's kind of like on one of those Mario maps where you're going in and out of the pipes all over the place. So this is going to be interesting. A lot of players will try to cut off circulation early on, especially Protoss to try to take multiple bases. But the thing is, Artosis, with Nerchio, isn't that what he wants you to do?
Yes, that is exactly what he wants.
You think he cares if the map can be cut off at points? The Nidus Worm can apparently just pop out anywhere, Artosis, and I think he could definitely exploit that here.
I think you're right about that, Tasteless. Like, this is... It seems like with the way he's been playing that this is a dream map for him. So I think that this is going to be a little bit Nerchio favored, but ShoWTimE got to study how Nerchio played it last time. So maybe he can do a bit better job of positioning his army, having everything in the right place, and giving a killing blow over to Nerchio.
So we got the Adepts out here continuing to move around on the map. Again, this map is very big, so there's a lot of locations where you can hide different units. I don't think we're going to see any hidden text necessarily on this map coming from Protoss, but he is going to peek in and try to get a survey of what exactly is Zerg doing and how quickly is Zerg teching or droning up, all of that.
Well, right now he does get in and sees that speed is on the way, sees the amounts of Zerglings. Gonna try to shade out of here, but, you know, finds that there's nothing too crazy like a Roach Warren yet.
Yeah, and that means that Zerg definitely doesn't have any shenanigans they're going to try to pull very early on here. We have a modest amount of Phoenixes being pumped out here. Nothing crazy, no double Stargate or anything like that. And that's probably to just drive back Overlords and harass drones. This is kind of a funny-looking situation, but yes, this is typical on this map when you play on it, to actually use Pylon Cannon to block off your main. And one thing about, you know, this map, if we could actually go back to earlier StarCraft, it's similar to these maps that we'd see in early Brood War, which were a lot of them were island maps, or like partial island maps.
Certainly.
And so when you're watching this game, guys, you got to remember that you're going to see a very different pattern of teching.
And to be honest, we aren't really sure what they're going to do, and maybe they aren't really sure what they're going to do because, again, we haven't seen many pro games here. There hasn't been as much practice on the map, which is, this is the best place for these guys to prove themselves against each other because they have to think on their feet. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be down and dirty. And so far, it looks just kind of normal, these openings from both players.
Yeah, and we might see, though, as the rate of expanding comes up here, I think actually ShoWTimE is pretty smart not getting too greedy and trying to be very careful because Nerchio did beat him a lot with Niduses. But, yeah, you could see different rates of teching here. And it's like learning a whole new game, and we're finally here in StarCraft II after so many years where, okay, now the maps are getting more and more and more complex.
They are indeed. Right now we have these Phoenixes clearing out Overlord, just kind of scouting, harassing. They see the layer on the way. And he's getting resonating glaives with a robo. Do you think it's just going to be a massive adept Phoenix play?
It's kind of funny. You know, the games we casted earlier on this, the few of them there were, it was totally different. But I think ShoWTimE looked at that and said, I don't think I'm going to do this kind of game here. And I guess he just wants to go for a very basic timing attack here.
Yeah.
But is Nerchio going to be ready for that? I guess that's the big question, Artosis.
Well, I'm not sure that he is. Like, right now, he is going into a Hydralisk Den. Will he have enough units? These are all light units that Adepts will do reasonably well against. So if he just has some Hydras and some Lings, and then a Warp Prism flies over, and suddenly there's 10 Adepts in his base, that's definitely something that could kill him before the game really even gets started.
Let's also keep in mind, if there is going to be down the road here some kind of funny Nidus timing, that might end up with the Adepts showing up, getting killed, and then Nerchio doing a counter.
Yeah, that's probably what he wants to end up doing at the end of the day. Now, we do have the Glaives finishing up. We do have the Warp Prism with 4 Adepts. There's a lot of gateways here, and he's cleared out the Overlords. So this is something that Nerchio is not going to see coming.
So the Phoenixes will escort the Warp Prism across the map here. And let's see where exactly he wants to do it. So what he wants to do is hit hard or go home, already having the Adepts. Instead of flying it across and unloading 4 and then warping it in, he's warping it in on the way. And we saw Nerchio do this last time. Can we get a vision check here? Did ShoWTimE actually see that hatchery in the middle of the main?
Yeah, looks like he hasn't seen it yet. He's been going around the edge of the map with those Adepts and with that Warp Prism. So hasn't seen it quite yet, but more and more Hydras are being made. Will he have enough units here? Okay, he sees exactly what's going down now. The Adept's gonna finish off this debris.
And with the debris down, it's going to be up to it's going to have to be whatever the Zerg has here. If he wants to defend this, he's going to push in. If Protoss fails here, Zerg gets the gold base. Right now, Nerchio just has to survive.
Oh, he starts turning down as much as he can. He's trying to shade on top of these Hydralisks. We have the Queens in there as well. Some Lings. There he goes. He gets on top. He goes in and starts to lift up the Queens.
The Adepts are doing a lot of damage. The Hydras continue to be picked up. It looks like he's isolating different parts of the armies. The Queens are going down. Kind of hard to see what's going on underneath all these units. He has some more pickups here. We should have another warp in. The Adepts live.
Oh, the Adepts coming out on top right there. The drones starting to fall. ShoWTimE may have done it. He may be the champion here of DreamHack Tour.
The Adepts now go in for the next kill, diving on top of the drones. Drones being evacuated. The Hydras come in, but enough Phoenixes and Adepts. I don't think Nerchio can survive this.
No, it certainly doesn't look like it with all these drones fighting. 32, 33 drones dead. We have these Hydras coming in, trying to deal some extra damage, but the writing is on the wall for Nerchio. His economy is almost gone.
And with all these Adepts remaining over here, there is simply put no way to recover. And there it is. GG! He has done it! He is your DreamHack champion!
Just fantastic play coming out of both sides here. Could have gone either way throughout this best of 7. But at the end of the day, ShoWTimE, with a very aggressive and well-hidden build, finishes off his rival Nerchio.
Pretty cool, man. He did it. There was a lot of trash talk at the start. He adapted. He mixed it up. And ultimately, he downloaded Nerchio as far as his play style.
Yeah.
And
for ShoWTimE, a well-deserving player, going to be at BlizzCon, fighting against the rest of the best in the world.
Smix, how is ShoWTimE feeling?
ShoWTimE, you said you wanted to get revenge on Nerchio. You did that and so much more. You are now a StarCraft II champion. What does this moment mean for you?
I have no words. Like, this is really special. Like, I've been a pro gamer for a long time now, and I've always been working hard and never really, like, thought of becoming a champion even. So this is just amazing, and in front of this, like, huge crowd, it's merci beaucoup.
Becoming champion is one thing, but it has to feel even more satisfying after such a close series against such a tough opponent like Nerchio.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think I could have closed it out in the 6th game. I kind of overcommitted there, but it was like really, really close, and it's like the best series to play. It's like really fun and close, so it was nice to play.
And of course, last but not least, I need to give you an opportunity to not only thank this crowd that has been absolutely amazing all weekend, but also all of your fans and viewers that have been watching online.
Unfortunately, my French is not that good. Like, I only kind of know like merci beaucoup and stuff like this, but I just want to say thank you to everyone here and everyone who is watching at home. This was like an amazing event. This was an amazing event, and I'm super happy to win it. And just thank you.
ShoWTimE, every DreamHack championship is not complete without champagne. So Adivisi, will you please come on stage and bring the champagne that you seem to have accidentally opened yourself?
Here you go.
ShoWTimE, you have the honor of taking that champagne. 2016 WCS Spring Champion is ShoWTimE!
And once again, another successful champagne opening by DreamHack. ShoWTimE is the StarCraft II champion here from the WCS Circuit Spring Championship. He's qualified to play at the Global Finals alongside Zest, Dark, and Pult. That is pumped
Sean,
on
keep
stage.
Going. Keep trying, Sean.
I mean, I can't take him on, Jeff.
That guy is beating you bad. That guy on stage is way outdoing you. I don't know if our audio for that is going out there, but anyways, go ahead.
A fantastic performance from him over the last couple of days. He looked a little bit shaky in the early stages, but that final 7 maps all the way
Oh
up.
man, you can't get a better final than one that goes to 7 games, right? And
you could.
A lot of them were so close. Yeah, I guess it could go to 8 games because that happens all the time.
It could be a draw. We go to game 8.
Yeah.
You get a tie. You get a tie.
They both go to Blizzcon.
Next
We're like,
time.
okay, we're canceling Montreal. But yeah, that was fantastic. They are both so good. I want them both at BlizzCon.
Absolutely, and hopefully Nerchio's banked up enough points now to almost solidify his position anyway. Obviously not guaranteed yet, but he's in a good position to do so. A fun tournament here in Control.
Yes.
In Control's really good at handling people talking at the same time.
It's been a great tournament. No, I think this is a surprising and good result. I don't think anyone going into this is like, hey, that ShoWTimE, by the way, is going to super take this tournament. But as the tournament developed, it became kind of a realistic opportunity where it was like, yeah, actually, it kind of looks like he could do this. Yep. And he was able to play his best StarCraft at the end of the tournament, which, by the way, is
when it matters the most.
The best thing to do. And he did it against amazing opponents, and he crushed them. He made it look silly. Nerchio looked like he was unstoppable. And, of course, going to Game 7 was really cool. But this was another one of those series where the games that ShoWTimE won, there was a couple that were kind of close, but also he dominated, which is the first time I think I've seen that happen to Nerchio, at least in this tournament.
Absolutely, and
yeah.
Any final thoughts here? I mean, we can take a look at the bracket for you guys at home now, and we can successfully crown the champion from the bracket there. ShoWTimE in the middle is the winner. He's not only a Meisterschaft champion, he's now a DreamHack champion as well. And
oh yes,
big win for Germany and France. Really proud of him.
$35,000 for our dear ShoWTimE as he continues hopefully a very successful career down the line with more tournaments coming up. It's the start.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the real start to his career at this point. He's going to BlizzCon. That's the biggest stage in StarCraft too, right?
Also,
that's all the champions from the year will be fighting, and I can't wait to see how well he can do against all the other tops.
Practice for BlizzCon, please, ShoWTimE. If we can offer you advice.
I think he will, actually.
Do you think he'll practice for BlizzCon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
BlizzCon 2017.
Oh, damn. Oh, I walked right into it.
Any final closing thoughts here from you guys before we send these wonderful viewers to the rest of their day?
I mean, one of the best finals I've ever casted. It was so back and forth. Each of the games were so good. I'm just in a great mood.
Great mood. Time for
I like it when you're in a great mood.
Time for a couple of cheeky drinks now with Tasteless after this one.
I want to echo
be in a better mood then.
sentiments too. Like, Tours was awesome. Great audience. France kind of lived up to the hype. I mean, there's been a few events here, and they were great. O Gaming, we were making jokes about it, but they brought the hype. It was really cool. I hope everybody enjoyed that stream as well, and just what a good time.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
So, guys, good to be down here with you. Always fun casting with you. We always have a lot of fun working together.
What do you mean down here with us? Is that like is that a class type joke you're making about?
Yeah, but only about him. But
yeah,
no,
it's okay.
Well, no, seriously, it's so
fine.
good to work with you guys. So fun to be here with the DreamHack people.
It's so good of us to move up in society as well and be working with you as well.
I know we don't get to do this very often.
You know,
I guess we'll see you at the end of the year when we all go to California.
Take your friends to work
If
day.
our
That's
tax
what this
class
is.
will allow us to.
I know. We'll try our best.
It's good to be with these untouchables and see that you're people too. Really, it is. I didn't know that these lower casters could feel and be excited, but now I want everybody to know at home I'm going to change. So it's a happy ending everywhere.
That's great, man. Very happy to work alongside you guys. Thank you all for watching online as well. One last shout out to all the sponsors, of course, Zowie, Razer, G2A, Monster Energy, and of course, Alienware. That is it done for us. We'll see you in Montreal or sooner. Someone said something about Valencia. We might see you there. Goodbye.